Sarah had always believed she had the perfect life, a loving husband, Jake, and a close relationship with her mother, Linda. Living in a quiet suburban neighborhood, she cherished their family's peaceful routine, especially raising their young daughter, Emma. But one discovery would turn Sarah's world upside down, revealing shocking secrets she never expected. The betrayal would cut so deep that life would never be the same. What were Jake and Linda hiding from Sarah? How did a seemingly perfect family end in such tragedy? Sarah loved her life. Every morning, she woke up happy to help Emma get ready for school, make Jake's coffee, and then enjoy their cozy family dinners in the evening. Jake was a caring husband and father. Even though he worked late to provide for them, he always found time for Sarah and Emma. Sarah's mom, Linda, was a big part of their lives too. After Sarah's dad passed away, Linda moved closer and became their biggest help. Whether it was babysitting, joining family dinners, or spending holidays together, Sarah felt lucky to have her mom around. But recently, Sarah noticed a change. Jake wasn't the same. He seemed distant, always glued to his phone, staying even later at work, and barely talking to her like before. Sarah kept telling herself it was just job stress, but deep inside, she couldn't ignore the feeling that something was wrong. The worry kept growing in her heart, making her feel unsure and anxious. One day, while cleaning out the study, Sarah stumbled upon an old phone. At first, she thought nothing of it. Jake often had older devices lying around, but this one was still charged and working. Curiosity took over, and she turned it on, scrolling through messages. What she found made her heart stop. The messages weren't just intimate, they were from Linda. The words were explicit, filled with secret meetings and confessions of love between Jake and her own mother. The affair had been going on for months, right under Sarah's nose. The betrayal felt like a knife twisting in her heart. Her husband and her mother, the two people she trusted most in the world, had been deceiving her all along. Days passed, but Sarah couldn't stop thinking about the messages. The betrayal consumed her. She barely ate or slept, her mind racing between heartbreak and rage. Unable to bear it any longer, Sarah decided to confront her mother first. She invited Linda over while Jake was still at work. When Linda arrived, Sarah showed her the phone, the messages, everything. Linda's face went pale. Linda tried to make excuses, but Sarah, too hurt, refused to listen. The conversation quickly escalated into a painful argument. Years of love and trust shattered in moments. Linda begged for forgiveness, but Sarah couldn't forgive. The betrayal cut too deep, leaving her world in ruins. As the argument intensified, so did Sarah's emotions. She was overwhelmed with a rage she had never felt before. Linda's attempts to downplay the affair only made things worse. The woman who had raised her had now destroyed her entire life. In a moment of blind fury, Sarah grabbed a kitchen knife from the counter. Before she could think, she lashed out. The knife connected with Linda, and everything seemed to move in slow motion. Suddenly, Linda lay on the floor, bleeding. Sarah stood frozen, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Her heart pounded in her chest as she stared at her mother's lifeless body. Her hands shook, the knife slipping from her fingers. She had just taken the life of the woman who had betrayed her, but also the woman who had given her life. Nothing felt real anymore. When Jake returned home, he was met with a sight that shattered his world. Sarah stood in the living room, pale and trembling, with Linda's lifeless body sprawled on the floor. A deep silence filled the air, heavy with the weight of horror and disbelief. Jake couldn't find the words. The enormity of what had happened crashed over him like a tidal wave. His affair with Linda had spiraled out of control, leading to a nightmare he never imagined. Sarah couldn't even bear to look at him. With trembling hands, she called the police and confessed. In that moment, she understood that there was no turning back. The affair, the lies, the heartbreak, all of it had led her to this tragic and irrevocable moment. The trial that followed was a whirlwind of raw emotions. Sarah's legal team painted a picture of a woman pushed to her limits by betrayal. Her heart-wrenching testimony evoked sympathy In the end, Sarah was sentenced to prison for second-degree murder, leaving behind the remnants of the life she once cherished. Her once perfect family lay in ruins, obliterated by deception, betrayal, and the ultimate act of violence. Haunted by guilt, Jake couldn't face the aftermath. He packed his things and left town, burdened by the choices that led to this devastating conclusion. Sarah's life was forever changed, marked by sorrow and loss. The lives of those left behind would never be the same either, trapped in the shadows of a tragedy that would echo through their hearts forever.